Not so imaginary friend. This story starts a little while back when I was in middle school, grade 9. At the age of 12, I started school really early and skipped a lot of grades, and yet I entered high school at the age of 12 as my birthday is late in December. My school had a middle school and a primary school building linked right next to it. Since it was a private school, there weren't really that much students as it was really expensive. It wasn't that weird for me to hang out with grade 5 kids since we were practically almost the same age. There's this one particular girl I got along with really well. We shared the same preferences, and so we would hang out a lot. We would paint our nails in the library and talk about random shows we'd watch on Disney. On this particular day, she told me randomly that she had an imaginary friend. I brushed it off as her joking and just went along with it, making fun of her imaginary friend. I can't remember what it is I exactly said, but my friend looked at me scared and said, "Lucy is not happy with you." I just laughed and dismissed it. I never thought of Lucy again. Until one night, I went to bed normally without anything on my mind at all, and then I had this dream. This very realistic dream. I was laying in bed the exact same position I laid in before dozing off. My sister was laying in her bed beside me exactly as she was before I dozed off, but this time she was awake and looking scared. I was also scared. We were both looking at one door. The bathroom door. That's when I started to hear a lot of banging and attempts to open the door. But this really freaked me out. Even though it was a dream, I can still remember how much I was shaking with fear, how real it felt. I got under the covers in my dream and started to pray, and then I woke up. I was still scared, obviously waking up to the exact same scene as in my dream. But there was no banging. But I could see the shadow of someone just standing there. It was illuminated close to the door. I remember instantly thinking it was Lucy and everything my friend had told me. I started to beg for forgiveness from Lucy. I was so scared I started to say how I'd be a good girl, I'd listen to my mother, I wouldn't lie, I'd always pray, etc. Eventually the shadow just left. I sometimes hear movement behind the door or in my closet. I have no pets or anything that could make that sound, but it doesn't really spook me. Although as I started to grow, I stopped minding all these things, and the thought of Lucy ever being real or that dream ever meaning anything but a nightmare. Fast forward to a few years later, last year, I'm a senior in college, age 17. One night my mom and I were watching a movie in my room and we slept off. She frantically woke up and shook me awake, telling me something had bitten her on her feet. I tried to examine her feet for any sign of bite marks, but I saw nothing. She then started to feel numb on her left side and told me it felt like paralysis. So I called my brothers and we took her straight to the ER. After taking her vitals at the ER, the doctors said she was having a stroke due to hypertension. Now this wasn't anything unusual, as my mom did have high blood pressure and was on meds. Now when we asked the doctors why she had felt a snake bite on her feet, they had no explanation. All they said was if she hadn't woken up that night in her sleep, she would have probably gotten full paralysis or would have died. My mom then told me a few months later that something had tried to wake her up by touching her feet, so she assumed it was one of my little brothers and didn't mind. Then that's when she felt the snake bite that woke her up. My mom and I do believe in the paranormal, jinns, and at first told me she had believed it was probably a bad jinn that attacked her. But then we came to realize that whatever it is that tried to wake her up was probably trying to save her life. I mean, since there was already a logical explanation as to why she had the hypertensive attack in the first place. She also admitted she had skipped one of her doses when she noticed her blood pressure was getting a bit low. I don't know if this is all connected to Lucy, but I feel whatever it was that was in my room that scared me into being a good girl wasn't entirely evil. I believe it saved my mother. But what do you think?